What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment. And first off, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Obviously, I was a little tied up, so had some family and had to clean all that stuff. So pretty much through that until Christmas, I suppose. Obviously, we'll be a little busy then too. But I did want to go into tomorrow's games. I've been following the NBA. Hopefully, if you guys know me, then you took like the Magic tonight. I don't like to be the person that's like, oh, I definitely would have had that team. But it was just one of those games, very suspicious. Definitely getting a push. I wanted to cover the in-season tournament games. It was just too busy as far as, as family coming in. And the days leading up until that, I barely had time to get the football picks out and such. But some of these are just, especially with the in-season tournament, I think the lines are very suspicious. So we had quite a bit of suspicious lines. As you can see, the Rockets is another one. That was like a 3-point spread. I get there's some injuries. Bucks won by 3. So you see a lot of suspicious things happen, which is fine. Obviously, we expect those things to happen. I wanted to go into these ones. I posted on my membership. I'll run through them real quick. I posted on my membership. Wasn't sure if I was going to be able to hit them in my video. But they're basically all metric plays. I like the Sixers because the Thunder are really good against the spread at this point. They're at home. I think people are going to take Oklahoma City. So I like the Sixers to cover. I like the Heat to cover because the Nets are covering at a ridiculous rate. I think that stops. I like the Hawks to cover. They're one of the worst teams against the cover. Obviously, the Wizards are going to be garbage for a long time. And then for the final one, I do like it's a 2-point spread. It depends on your book. I like the Clippers to cover the Mavericks. They're getting 2. I think, again, more people are going to be on the Mavericks. So, those are the 4 I like. There's nothing crazy about them. I just wanted to go into them while I was here. I figured I would hit them real quick. So, Sixers cover, Mavs get covered. So, Sixers cover, Clippers cover, Heat cover, and Hawks cover. And of them all, I like the Sixers cover the most. I like the Heat cover probably the second most, but I like them both a good bit. But like I said, nothing crazy. I just wanted to quickly touch on them, and then I'll be able to get back into the swing of things with NBA Daily, of course. We have all these different sports going on, but I wanted to go into this, and as far as who the games I like, and I haven't posted as far as the units I like on my Discord. I'll go into that in a second. First one's simple. Texas A&M, LSU. LSU did finally go under last week, so my metric theory does hold true. At some point, I think it should be made into a law because you will never see a team not finish, or I'm sorry, you'll never see a team finish 0 or 100% against the spread or the over-under if they play a full season. It's pretty crazy, but this has held true for decades upon decades, and it'll hold true for one more year because LSU went over last week, or I'm sorry, under last week for the first time. I think they're going to go under again. This is typically what happens. It's like towards the end of the season, they just even it out and they go under or over a couple in a row after doing the opposite all year. So I like the under there. It's 66.5. Ohio State, Michigan. I thought about this one. I like Michigan for the cover. I get they just got their 1,000th win, right? And sure, they could lose after that. You got the scandal going on. Obviously, one of these undefeated teams is going to lose, so that kind of is what I've been saying for a while. There's too many undefeated teams. You're not going to have 5, 6 undefeated teams, in my opinion, going into playoffs. So, obviously, with this one, they're both undefeated, but I think Michigan's going to cover. I also was looking at the ESPN polls. They are 50-50 right down the middle. And while that might seem like a lot, it might seem like, okay, well, it can go either way. You're getting plus 150 for Ohio State, and it's like minus 160 for Michigan. So that tells me there's going to be way more people on Ohio State. Now, you might get a win, no cover for Michigan. I do get that's a possibility, a strong possibility. But I'm going to go ahead and take them given the 3.5. Assuming more people are going to be on Ohio State with at least more liability there because of the payout if they win. So then we just got to get the cover, which, again, easier said than done, but I think Michigan will get the cover. I also like, they're in here somewhere. I didn't post this one. It'd be my luck the one time I don't play it, it comes through. But I just saw Colorado, Utah. I don't see why not to sprinkle one unit on Colorado. I just think they might have one more upset in them. They've looked completely garbage all year. And sure, maybe they started off strong to get the public on them. But I think winning, again, this team won the Pac-12 last year, so I think after all the losses, if they can get this movie-like win, I think it'd be pretty interesting. You have, one team go 5-7, the other be 7-5. I heard some talking heads saying Colorado would be bowl eligible. They must have changed it because before they were saying they needed a 6-6 record, so I'm not sure what they're going to do here. But I still like them. Again, I don't think they're going to bury Dion this bad. Again, 20.5, you're looking at like plus 650, plus 700. Definitely worth a unit. So I just saw this one. I do like Colorado. I like Vandy to cover for the simple fact they have one cover all year. I think that's going to come to an end. I don't think they're, they could just have the one cover. I mean, that has happened before. But more often than not, it's usually at least two. It's rare that you have a few teams with one. And right now we have LSU with one on the under. We have Vandy with one to the cover. There's teams that have only been covered once. So I think that's going to, at least two of those three teams are going to drop another one. So I like Vandy to cover Tennessee, move to 2 covers on the year. And I did take UTEP to win outright. I'm not sure Liberty, they're kind of like a James Madison, so they don't really count towards the bowl as far as, in my opinion, the way Georgia counts or Ohio State. That all being said, I still think there's a good chance they might lose this game. Nobody's going to be on UTEP, in my opinion, so definitely worth about 5-1 to take UTEP straight up here. And another one I like straight up here is, actually I like 2 more. I like Washington State. Now again, I'm not saying all these undefeated teams are going to lose, but I do think at least 2 of them are going to drop. Obviously, one is going to be in the Ohio State-Michigan game. That still leaves like 3-4 undefeated teams. So I like Washington State winning straight up, and I like Florida winning straight up. I think they both have upset value, especially with, obviously, with Gabriel getting injured. There might be people on Florida anyway, but they're not a great team this year, and it's only a 6.5 point spread. So there still might be enough people on Florida State, in my opinion. So there, I do like Florida to win. And I believe that's all of them. Like I said, I'm going to go into my Discord in a second because I have the exact unit amounts for them. But yeah, basically my logic is and I got San Jose State covering UNLV. First off, it's a very, very suspicious spread, as you can see. I think most people looking at this are going to pound UNLV. And secondly, UNLV is like 10-1 against the spread. Again, you can finish 11-1. It's not like it can't happen. That has happened. But typically there's like one team in total that has a 1. And again, by a 1, I mean 1 on the over, 1 on the under, 1 on the cover either way. So I think a few of these teams that are just at 1 are definitely going to move to 2. So I like San Jose State to cover here. So I'm going to go into that in 1 second. One other thing that's pretty interesting is that we actually had a profitable Thanksgiving. You're probably wondering how we went 1-3. Of the 4 games I went into, how the only one that I really liked was the Niners. So, again, and it's not to try and make excuses. I'm never proud of going 1-3. But we did lay a unit on the Lions to cover. They didn't. We put a unit on the Commanders to win. Obviously, they didn't even come close. And we put a unit on the Jets to cover, and they did not. But we played 4 units on the Niners to cover because I just believed in that one that much more. So obviously a little 1 unit profit, which I will definitely take going 1-3. So hopefully this week we can get the hit rate and the profits, of course. Typically they go hand in hand. This week we just happened to luckily get the leg 3, which again, I try and really save leg 3s for the ones that I really believe in the most. But we got a 1 unit profit there. And then I'm just going to add this to the... Because like I said, I just saw it while we were going over it. And with upsets, sometimes I'll do them for 2 units. But for this one, I think it's only necessary to play for 1 unit. We're getting about 5-1 if we get this hit, so I'll gladly take that. So Let me make sure I didn't miss any. I think we got them all. So this is swinging between 2.5 and 3. You can buy the half. I like to match it up against ESPN, and it was at +3 like 15 minutes ago. So it's just moving back and forth. That's for our Rams loss last week. We had all Unit 1 plays last week, except the Monday night game, which was a 4-unit leg 3, which we hit. So again, that's what's really important, is closing out the sequence by leg 3. But we got a good bit of leg 2s from, again, leg 1s that we lost the prior week. San Jose's cover is going to be a leg 2. Vandy covering Tennessee is going to be a leg 2 because Vandy's only got 1 cover on the year. Michigan cover, as I went into, that's going to be a leg 2. And then I am playing the LSU Tennessee or Texas A&M under. That's a leg 2 as well, because again, I don't think LSU is finishing 11-1 on the over. Now playoffs do count towards over under. They count them towards the spread. So they're going to be playing a bowl game, I'm pretty sure. So they might obviously have another game or so where they could go under in that game. But either way, 66.5 is not that high for how they've been playing. So I like the under a lot here. And then this one's a nice one. If we get the Florida one, that's going to be nice as a leg 2. Obviously 2 units plus 200 is going to pay better than 1 unit would. So it'd be really nice to get this Florida win. And like I said, I got a couple others. We got Washington State for the upset. I got UTEP for the upset. They're going to be leg 1s. And then Colorado is going to be a leg 1. And that's going to be around about 6 to 700. I think it's going to be closer to 700. Because the last time we got like a 20-point spread was Air Force losing. We picked whoever the heck it was to beat Air Force, and they did. And yeah, we got plus 725. It was Navy, I think. We got plus 725 on that game. So that wound up doing really well. And I think something's got to give. They're already complaining, fans are complaining about different things, about teams that should be in the playoffs that aren't. Last year, TCU got in there just because they were undefeated. Then they got shellacked. So a team like Washington, while they got Penix, who's playing really good, they kind of remind me of TCU as far as they are pretty inconsistent as far as when they're matched up against really good teams. It's really Penix or nothing, just like it was Duggan or nothing for TCU. And of course, they have good receivers too. But I just have a feeling that Florida State, especially, they have the perfect reason to lose. I feel like Washington could certainly lose. And then we're going to have Ohio State or Michigan lose. So I think we're going to have about 3 undefeated teams lose. I really do. And then it'll be a lot easier for them to make their decision as far as the playoffs. Now, Washington, again, they are pushing Penix really hard. But if you remember last year with Caleb, like they weren't undefeated, but they were, towards the end of the year, they had a shot of making, and they might have even made the playoffs. I can't remember if they did make that Final Four. But they were ranked 5th. I think they might have even been ranked 4th for like a minute. And I think then they got knocked out. So I think a very similar thing might happen to Washington here, where they just kind of weaseled their way into the top 4 for a week, and then they're going to get booted out. It didn't affect Caleb's Heisman prospects, and I don't think this will affect Penix's Heisman prospects. So a loss makes a lot of sense to me for Washington. So yeah, just the different reason I have these different teams winning. I think Colorado winning would be full circle. It's the exact same spread as it was against TCU. So you beat a team that went to the national championship in the first week, and then in the very last week you beat the Pac-12 champs. It just seems like a little loop to me. So I do like Colorado after I saw that. And yeah, UNLV, just not to be repetitious, it just really seems like a suspicious spread. So I think we're going to have a good Saturday. We got like 7 games, 6 of which are going to be leg 2s for 2 units. So pretty important, like I said, to hit a good bit of these leg 2s so we don't have to play too many leg 3s. And then there's 4 NBA games I went into. I like them just off the top of my head. They just happen to fit the metrics. So before I even saw the spreads, I liked those certain teams, the Hawks, the Sixers, the Heat, and the Clippers. So like I said, nothing crazy. You could play them for a unit, whatever you want to do. And then as far as football, that's where I got most of our leg 2s for 2 units. And like I said, a few of our upsets that I think we're going to get. So I know most people were most interested about Ohio State, Michigan. Yeah, I think with the cheating scandal, it's definitely going to be a game Michigan covers. ESPN has just been basically blatantly throwing things in. And like, there's a ESPN Bet I'm sure you guys are familiar with now on YouTube. And ESPN Bet just puts out like bad beats and how the public got screwed because of this game. And I'm sure they'd love to put out how Michigan beat Ohio State and a bunch of people lost money and they're not happy or something because they cheated. So yeah, you could say it's controversial to have them win, like people aren't going to be happy, but again, the limelight isn't on the league here, it's on an individual who's being scapegoated. And I think that's the bigger story. They want to deflect the gambling off themselves and throw it on to, oh, this guy just cheated. You know, there's nothing suspicious going on. So yeah, I like Michigan for the cover here, and their heels, if you will. You know, they're not being cheered for by a lot of people, meaning a lot of people might just tune in to see them lose, especially for this game. And then if they make it, they go 12-0. Obviously, they're going to be a shoo-in for the Final Four, and people are going to tune in my opinion, just to see Georgia or whoever it is clobber them. So that's just my opinion, what I think is going to happen. And yeah, most of these games are metric games, but a couple are just suspicious lines. And the same is going to be for I'll be doing the NFL video tomorrow. A lot of suspicious lines for the NFL tomorrow. Probably the most suspicious I've seen like in 3 or 4 weeks. Some of them just don't add up. I'm sure you know which ones I'm talking about if you just look at them. I saw a few and I honestly checked for injuries and I didn't see any injuries like on ESPN's page. I'll look deeper into it, but the lines just didn't seem to make any sense for a few of them. So hopefully they're traps. Sometimes they're as advertised ass kickings, but other times they're traps, and I think we're going to get a couple traps, especially as the season's going on. So again, I hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving, and I appreciate everyone's patience. I just really couldn't get NBA out today. Like I said, I was going to be just hanging out with family yesterday. I suppose most people were as well, I would think. And that's why I got the Thanksgiving games out and the Jets game out a little bit earlier than I normally do football, just because I wanted to get them out. And then, like I said, I'll be able to do the rest of football. I'll be doing that video tomorrow. But I wanted to get college out so people can get them locked in. I know a lot of people are probably interested in a lot of these games. Like I said, particularly the Ohio State game and the Florida State game, I think people are interested in because you got upset value and you have an undefeated team that giving a little bit of a suspicious line. I get they got an injured quarterback, but I still think it's a little suspicious. So take care, everybody, and happy earnings.